And it's K-Boy 105.9, the Big Kahuna, Honolulu's only classic rock. Dave Lawrence, the Workforce Afternoon, and I'm glad you're with me today because we have a special guest to help us wrap up a week of giving away and featuring the new, fresh out of the archives, Marshall Tucker Band, live on Long Island, capturing a magical evening we're going to hear more about today as my guest joins me next from the Marshall Tucker Band, a vocalist who is a legend in rock music, and a great pleasure to welcome him to the show, Doug Gray. Aloha, brother Doug.
Hi, how's it going, man?
How are you, dude? Thanks for taking some time to be part of the show.
Hey, this is the easiest part of my life is talking to people about music.
I bet, man. It's got to be a thrill and really cool when I always dig it when things come out of the archives like this release, and certainly a chance for fans to experience a very special and magical show live on Long Island, April 18th, 1980. How did this thing finally come out of the vaults now?
Well, one of the largest things was, that was Tommy. That was the original lineup of the original band. That was the last show we did. Tommy, we went home that night, and the next day on the way to go work out, Tommy had his car accident, and 10 days later he died. So luckily we had 24 tracks recorded of that show, and it took us a long time to get all of them put back together to make them to where they're right, and I got a chance to mix them all, and I got to tell you, it brought back some really, really sweet and bitter moments, and just, it's an emotional record. You listen to some parts of songs like In My Own Way, and some of the not so well known records, and you can put yourself back on stage, and hopefully that's what I've done for everybody else.
So it was a project that you sort of spearheaded.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, this is something I've wanted to do for a long time. But a lot of people had copies of this because it was a radio broadcast, and people had copies of it with all the stuff in it. So what we had to do is, we found the original tapes, and then what we did is we made it a little bit more up-to-date sound, and put the songs back in the order that we did them. And it brings tears to most people's eyes that have already heard it.
Well, a lot of folks, and I think a lot of fans of the band who are more casual fans maybe don't realize the sacrifice, the tragedy, the loss, that both Toy and Tommy Caldwell passed on, huge elements of the Marshall Tucker Band. And this must be, as you said, a really emotional sort of project.
It is. I mean, we all went to the same high school. Toy went to Vietnam, I went to Vietnam, we came out, Tommy went into the service and then came out. I mean, we all got back together, and so we'd had bands together for 10 years before we ever started Marshall Tucker Band. And so it was like, we were like a bunch of kids, a bunch of garage band people, and we just happened to all of a sudden be on a bus or flying around, and here we were with the Allman Brothers, our heroes, and we were learning how to be just as crazy as they were, and we were, we were doing that stuff, and we were one of the bands that never got caught, which is cool, because if you follow in somebody's footsteps, you stay a step back from them, then you don't get caught every time, But we did lose Tommy in 1980, and then, of course, Toy left the band a few years later and said, Doug, go with it because I know that your heart's in it as much as anything. And so I went on, and in 1992, Toy passed away, and while he had his own Toy Caldwell band.
Right.
And so, the history of what we've done, and now it's 34 years that we've had that, and as I get off, we've got like 4 kids that work for us that were not even thought of 22 years ago. We've got, these kids, they come out and they say, man, I love that stuff, man. How long y'all been playing that? 34 years. It's still a kick. It's still a kick, and the people that come to see us and all the sold-out shows we've been doing, we played a show the other night, 17,000 people in Nashville, Tennessee.
Wow.
Us and Skinnerd. And I've got to tell you, we rocked socks, everybody. It was a great night. You couldn't have asked for anything any better.
And that was with Skinnerd.
Yeah, well, Skinnerd was just excellent, and they got a new guitar player called Sparky. He used to play with Charlie Daniels, and Sparky's just they don't call him Sparky for nothing because he can light a fire under his face.
And he's playing up there with Gary Rossington and Ricky Medlock, then making it a trio on the guitar.
Oh yeah, they're beating them guitars to death, and I call it the most famous guitar band ever in the world.
Oh, and it totally is. How long do you go back with the Skynyrd guys?
Well, believe it or not, when they first started touring, we took them up through North Carolina. We were already headlining some clubs, and we were already Marshall Tucker, and they said, we got a group from Florida that needs to go out and get some exposure, so we let them open shows for us all up through North Carolina and South Carolina. And so if that tells you anything, it's all the way. And then Ronnie and I used to hang out together, and we were in a place called Ebbets Field in Denver, Colorado. One time as a nightclub. Taj Mahal was playing, but Ronnie was just drinking enough to throw bones, his chicken bones, because they had chicken wings. He was throwing his chicken bones at Taj Mahal, and I said, somebody going to take you out, man. And I said, it's going to be me or them. And so I said, have a little bit more respect. You know, he's a redneck he was a redneck just like all the rest of us. You know? It's just I had my head on straight, a little bit straighter than his, you know.
What a great memory.
These kids have wear their heads crooked now. Our heads were crooked like that, man.
But you remember that, and you got him to stop throwing chicken bones at Taj Mahal.
Exactly, and you know what? He respected me for that forever. We were always friends. I mean, you know, singers. One thing from the South, singers are not jealous of other singers. If anything, you just want to go up there and blow them away, but you're not jealous.
And so you naturally sort of bonded with Ronnie best because of that sort of aspect, or just other things that you had in common?
Well, we just had a lot of stuff in common, girlfriends and stuff like that. So,
I mean, what a character, dude. I just had Donnie Van Zandt a couple months ago on the show. So it's just interesting that, when I mentioned Skynyrd, you come up with that really, a story. You obviously remember it. You can, put yourself right there in the club with you when you're telling that.
Yeah, it's exactly the truth. I mean, there's hundreds more, but it's glass elevators and TVs and naked people. I can't tell you that one.
Right.
But, those kind of stories were all true, and they were all good. They were all done in fun, and nobody got hurt, and that's why they're fun now. I mean, I'm working on a book for next year, or probably the year after, just talking about some of those cool things that happened. I mean, all of us having little tents that you'd run back to, and do everything that you did after in between songs. We all had our we looked like we was going in to change into the next uniform, and go out and play the game some more. But we had those good times, man. It was always fun.
That's cool that you're going to be doing that. I think a lot of the time, an artist like yourself who has, as you say, 34 years of touring behind them, sometimes it's doing a book or having to get it into writing that gets some of those great stories, either parts of the stories that you had forgotten about and hadn't really remembered all these years. They kind of it helps revive aspects of the stories, because I know other cats who are writing books about that period and their stories. It's cool because, and you know what else is, it probably, as you do the research for the book, other people will bring you information that you know what I mean?
Well, we've already got 300 or 400 pages worth of stuff. I don't actually write it. I have a guy, Michael B. Smith, that's doing that stuff for me, and he's like one of my best buddies. So he's putting all this stuff together with the memories of certain people walking into the dressing room and acting like they don't know you. Me wrecking my partner, Jerry Eubanks, flute saxophone player. I wrecked his car one time and don't even remember it. And then a year later, radio station guy says, "Hey, did that guy ever find out you wrecked his car in the basement of that Hilton?" And Jerry was standing right there with me.
That's so funny.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, I don't know. Things are just coming out of me right now. You better watch out.
That's what I mean. It's exactly what I mean. It's always fun when, because artists are always, then they're digging up all these juicy stories, and one always leads to another. And the Marshall Tucker Band are really just they're that kind of Americana. They've been around, as you say, for a long, long time. And as you mentioned, we were talking about Skynyrd, who you just did a show with and have a long history going back many years with a connection to those cats. Another band that you have long run of connection with is was the Allman Brothers Band.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys opened for the Allmans a long time ago. Who were you tightest with, or did you find the most bonding in the Allmans?
Well, Greg and I had a lot in common because every time we'd see each other, it was usually on the road, and we'd say, "Hey, man, what you doing?" and so we'd understand each other.
That's how Greg talks, too, though. I mean,
This is
great.
And then Greg's backing over a guitar one time, and I think his wife at the time threw it out behind the car.
What was that?
I can't even go to that story. But there might still be legal proceedings going on. But we used to get together and just have, I remember some of the times that we'd be sitting in the studio cutting our first record, and then all of a sudden Dr. John McRabenack would come out.
Wow.
And he'd walk in, he said, "That's good stuff, Greg," because that's the way he talks.
Yeah.
Could have been the right place, but it must have been the wrong time.
The Night Tripper.
It's we played with him not too long ago. He opened the show for us someplace up in New Hampshire, I think. But he still sounded great. He's a little bit more funkier than normal, but
I love him.
Oh man,
dude,
that's the not to get. I mean, you just don't get better than that.
No,
Leon
that's
Russell's
the stuff.
The same way,
Say again.
Leon Russell's the same way.
Oh yeah. Oh, but Dr. John is the king, and he's a really kind guy. I've gotten to spend time with him before, and seen him many times. And you're on it. He's gotten, if anything, just funkier as time's gone.
Come up to me. He says, I said, "Come on." I said, "Mac, you coming out there to play one with us?" He says, "I gotta be in New York." I said, "Well, good for you." I said, "Are you coming out to play one with us?" He says, "I gotta be in New York." Okay, then I got you. I mean, it's a common courtesy, with our band. Anybody that's in the building is going to get to come up and play with the band.
Sure.
And it always works. Dickie ends up coming up and playing with us. Dickie's been opening a lot. Dickie Betts has been opening a lot of shows for us with his band. And Greg's people, their people will come off the road, and we'll hire their crew for 2 or 3 months, and then they'll go back, and it is still a huge, big family.
Yeah, it has that feel.
It feels good. You just don't worry about things. You know that if there's a fight, it's like, "Hey man, that guy just shot me a bird from that car, and we're in a tour bus." All of a sudden, 15 guys jump off the tour bus. What's that guy gonna do? He hops in that convertible Mercedes and takes his ass off. And you don't have to look like you mean. All you got to do is look like us.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's a good way of putting it. You're funny, dude.
Oh man.
The legendary Doug Gray, who is the kind of cat who's just super easy to talk to, and just like the music of Marshall Tucker Band, it's the kind of music that feels comfortable and warm and fuzzy whenever you hear it. And when's the last time you were out in our state of Hawaii?
In 1968.
Oh man.
On my way to Vietnam.
That's it, huh?
That was it. I stayed there for about 2 hours while they refueled us and them, the planes, and then we took off. It's been a long time. We've had options to come over there and do some shows, but it's never worked out,
How long were you in Vietnam?
13 months, 4 days, 6 hours, 22 minutes, and 16 seconds.
What branch of the service?
I was a sergeant in the Army.
Thanks for serving.
Hey, I was there, but I'm glad I'm back.
We appreciate it.
I've certainly got a lot of proud people that are over there right now, and I'm very proud of them too.
Yes, well, we're in the most militarized state here in Hawaii, with the greatest number of servicemen and women posted here, and veterans and stuff. And it's awesome to have spoken to a veteran like yourself, who's distinguished and to have served. So mahalo for that. And
well, I don't know how distinguished I was, but I was one bad mully. I think if they might have a different word to put on that plaque
besides distinguished.
They said that's sure enough redneck boy from South Carolina instead of distinguished.
And you'd wear it proudly.
Of course.
Doug Gray from the legendary Marshall Tucker Band, featured on the new Live on Long Island. It's out, it's in stores, and a pleasure having you on KPOI 105.9 The Big Kahuna, man.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
I hope you guys come back out here. Know that you'd have strong support from my radio station.
Hey, anything we can do for you, just scream real, real loud and we can hear you.
I'll beat on some drums. I'll send you a message. Yeah, we'd love to have you come out here.
That'd be great, man. Thank you very much.
You're an animal. I love it.
All right, man.
Thank you, Doug.
You got our numbers direct over there in Los Angeles. Just give a call if you need me to call at any special moment or do any kind of ID for you, okay?
I will, Doug. I really appreciate it. I'll reach out to Jenny.
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
Be well, brother.
Bye-bye.
Aloha.